Do you guys know who Corey is? AKA Bit.Beefy.
Tell us.
Man from no GCSEs, working in Domino's to
Raw.
head coach at Nike. That's huge.
Big steps.
And you may have heard him when you listen to the app, the running app. Can I say that that's you?
Yeah, no, it is me. It is me.
The reason why this is really interesting for me is because having two parents that were bodybuilders, there was this perception that in order to be healthy, you had to be literally ripped to shreds. And when you see people that are, you know, pushing out the whole health message or fitness, they usually look like, I don't want to say unrealistic, but unrealistic. However, you're a healthy guy, you run, you promote health, but I wouldn't say that you are the poster boy for what is considered typical health men model.
No.
According to the
I'm
Instagram
most definitely
generation.
not. I'm most definitely not. And that's what we were discussing before, as in, like, I joke about it, but if I got smaller, as in lost more weight and had less body fat, I wouldn't be as approachable. And it's the same thing as if I got incredibly fat. I wouldn't be able to do what it is that I do. Yeah.
What's that born on? Because I think in the age of, we were having this discussion about body positivity, there's a huge now, not backlash, but a stance on individuals that says, accept me as I am.
Oh no, so I believe in it, accept you as I am. I'm just talking about from me, the things that I do. If I was the weight that I used to be, I wouldn't be able to physically do the things that I do.
What weight did you used to be?
I sort of wavered between 115 and 120 kg.
What's that in stone, sorry?
Oh.
Well, 18. Maybe
18
more.
stone?
Yeah.
And what age was this?
That was in my mid-20s. Yeah, that was in my mid-20s going up to probably late 20s.
And I feel there's quite a lot of people that are, you know, around the 18 stone. Can I say that's verging obesity?
I mean, you've gone past obesity at 18 stone, as in according to BMI, more often than not, you kind of hit obesity around 15, 16 stone. As in,
depending on your height.
Yes, depending on your height. But me personally, I hit obesity early.
Yeah. So when you were this like this,
what was that born of? Sorry, Lynn. What was that born of?
Laziness.
Laziness.
Yeah.
So there's a lot
laziness
of
and contentment.
So this wasn't a thyroid. This wasn't big bones.
No.
We had the joke.
You knew you were fat and you were lazy.
No, but the thing is, you don't know that you're fat and you don't know that you're lazy until it comes to a point where you're like raw. And that more often than not doesn't happen until some kind of an emotional break happens. And that's what happened with me.
What was your raw moment? Like, I am fat.
So it was loads of different moments. Like, one of the moments was I had to run 100 meters in this kind of, not veterans thing, but you know, you go to like a fete or whatever. And it's like, oh, who wants to run 100 meters? And I got 40 or 50 meters down this 100 meters track and I was blowing. As in, like, I was gassed. I was like, wow.
Sounds like me at the dance.
I was like, how?
There's enough man who will be in that same situation though, bro.
Yeah.
But in your mind, you're thinking,
but in my mind, I'm like, this is 100 meters.
Yeah.
How am I gassing from running 100 meters?
10 seconds of your life.
Yeah, and I'm 20 seconds.
10 seconds. You
I used to be a
saying?
runner.
What are you talking
I'm not
about?
a bodybuilder. I used to be a runner.
Joe's coming like he's Mr. Bolt, you know. Go on, sorry, bro.
So, like, there was that moment, and then a friend ran a marathon, and then there were just things where you would kind of ignore it. You'd like look in the mirror and you'd be like, like I'm similar to what you're saying. I'm big boned, or like I'm heavy, or I can move for my size. And it wasn't until you kind of sit back and think to yourself, and you're like, Rod, like this is terrible. Like,
were there any jokes? Were there any
loads of
references?
jokes.
And
Loads
you
of
just
jokes.
laughed them off and thought,
Yeah.
I'm not
Were you
really
bullied?
fat.
Nah, not bullied. More, it's what we do to each other. It's like, it's a term of endearment.
Harsh banter.
Yeah, harsh banter. And it's like, no one, thinking about it, no one ever directly said, you know what, bruv, you're too fat.
Yeah.
Like, there were fat jokes. They were like, you're a big guy, you got a big belly, you drink a lot, you can eat food. But there was never like attacks.
Direct.
No,
So
it was
you
like,
can
oh,
still
you're
be
putting on weight, bruv.
Bigger than average and
Yeah,
still
yeah, yeah,
like yourself or still love yourself or not look in the mirror and think, Jesus Christ, like this is, I'm in big trouble.
No,
But that was the point where you thought, look, something needs to change
Yeah.
because I shouldn't be
And
blowing.
in terms of like your love life, did you still manage to attract
Yes, I did.
It's a serious thing, though.
The reason why I'm asking is because I think with some people that are overweight, they think to themselves, I'm not getting in the girls, or I'm not getting in the guys, and maybe it's because I'm fat. But again, because you're attracting who you want, you're not going to then say, maybe I am overweight, because your life is going good.
Yeah, but I think that's an interesting angle, but that's very external. I think most people that I train with, particularly in the martial arts world, there is this whole thing around having to lose weight, put on weight because you're entering a competition. And there's a lot of dysmorphia associated with it, because you'll be looking in the mirror, but the scales are saying something different. And that's quite a lot of pressure. But the external thing of wanting to do it for other people, I think that's the bit that needs to be broken, because that causes a lot more pain, particularly I find for now more men in terms of having that conversation where it's for likes on Instagram, or it's
social
for,
media.
They got to fit into this
I
garm.
don't know if I would agree with that. I would think that if it takes people around you to make you feel a certain way, which you know is detrimental to your health, then bring it on. And I think it's unrealistic to think, oh, you know, people should love you for whoever you are. It's not going to happen. There's going to be certain things in life where it's not going to be. I'll give you an example. Let's say maybe the 70s, the 80s, you were really good looking as listen, I'll look back then, okay? I'll look back then. You can correct me, obviously, being you're all old and stuff.
Look at this old and stuff, you know.
We're getting labelled bundled in together.
Carry on, sis.
70s, 80s, 90s, it was like fashionable for a woman to be stick thin. Then let's say video vixens came, Kim Kardashian came. Now everyone wants a huge bum. That's society.
Marilyn did that way before then.
Okay, but the one.
Yeah.
But that influences us. So what I'm saying is, if it helps you, the influence of society and the slight pressure, you shouldn't allow it to the point where you're suffering with your mental health. But if it encourages you to be healthier, why not? But
Beefy, what are you saying?
To word it, I think there's a time and a place for the truth when it comes down to talking about people's weight and how.
Can we get an hallelujah? Can we get an hallelujah?
But when is that time?
So that for me is down to the individual, as in if that person is not in a space, whether that's physically or mentally, to hear that truth, then then it's not for you to give them that truth. So you need to know, whether it's as an individual, as a group of people, as a coach, whatever you are, like you need to be able to know whether or not that person can take what you are saying safely. As in, like at the beginning of that journey, I'm not saying that I wouldn't have been able to take that. But as I progressed, like I could take that more often. Like once I found running and I was at a running club and I was going there week in, week out, I was doing cross country, I was running up hills, I was doing track, I was racing. This woman, Ros Tabor, I think it's Tabor, she is 50, 60, white lady and has been running her entire life. And she just pulled me aside one day and she was like, I love your dedication, I love what you're doing. But she was like, do you know what would really, really help if you lost some weight?
And you were receptive to that?
I was receptive to that because I was like, this woman has seen that I've put in hard work and she can see that I'm running and she knows that I want to go the next step.
Also how she's framed that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's a brave thing though.
Yeah, but then she even went as far as to say, so she was like, she was like, just imagine the weight that you are now if you strapped a belt to your stomach and put bags of sugar on the side of them. So she was like, imagine how much harder it would be to get up that hill or to get along that road. So she was like, that's what you're doing now. You have bags of sugar strapped to your stomach. Yeah. So why don't we shed some of those bags of sugar? And I was like, that's
stuck with
I was
you.
like, let's do that.
So then, because there's athletes that have run in the Olympics and they still haven't managed to become head coach at Nike. And Nike is one of the biggest brands there is. So how did you go from this, 18 stone, overweight, to literally being what you are today?
Because I'm different. And when I say I'm different, like I speak to young people all the time about this. Anyone can be a coach. Like anyone can go and sit the exam, they can do the test, they can do all of those things. What makes me different is my life experience, how I engage with anybody, like young people, adults. And it's the fact that there are people that will follow, not follow what I do, but they'll follow me. Like people don't follow me for my coaching. People follow me for my motivation, and it just so happens that I can coach. So what happened was I started off by doing just my own thing. As in, when I started running, I ran the London Marathon a couple of times, joined that running club, and then I met a guy called Charlie Dark. Charlie Dark ran Run Dem Crew. I was introduced to him by my old boss and mentor, Eugene. Myself and Charlie met. He was like, cool, you and my friend Ellie set up RDC West. So I set up this thing
What's
called...
Run Dem Crew, sorry?
So Run Dem Crew is it's a group of like-minded creatives who happen to run.
Okay.
So Charlie Dark started this thing called Run Dem Crew years and years and years ago because he wanted to get into running because many of his friends around his age were dying of a multitude of things. So he was like, in order for me to help my friends and my community, let's start running. So he just started running. Now, because he was a DJ, because he was an MC, because he was a poet, because he was a creative and all of these things, he just viewed things through a different lens and started storytelling about it very, very differently. So he started this thing called Run Dem Crew, and most of the people that were in it were creatives of some kind. So photographer, videographer, artists, etc. That was based in Shoreditch. So in 2012, he was getting like 200 people a week and people were still wanting to apply. So he couldn't deal with all of those people. So he spoke to my boss and was like, oh, why don't we get some kind of a system where people can go somewhere else and run
And still get the same.
and still get a similar vibe. So that was my introduction to urban running.
And why running? Why running? There's loads of different sports.
So running because in 2006, when I was overweight, I saw a friend of mine run the marathon, lived in London my whole life, never been to watch the marathon. I was like, rah.
It's inspirational.
I was like, this is inspirational. Like people are running, people are cheering, people are screaming. Like they're cheering for complete strangers. There's people crying. I saw a brother with a fridge on his back. I saw someone dressed as a rhino. I was like, this is nuts.
Enough people give you sweets.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was like, this is amazing.
It's a real community. Even the training around it and the build up.
You're gonna do it? You're gonna do it then?
No.
Do it.
Why?
So I saw...
I hate long distance.
Talk to her.
Please, no, do it.
It's just,
life-changing.
I don't like cardio.
This could be the start, though.
Yeah, listen to the
This
voice.
could be the
This
start.
could be the beginning.
Could I become head coach at Nike?
But if that's your motivation...
What?
True.
See it there? I like that.
If that's your motivation.
So you picked running, marathon inspired.
So no, running picked me. I didn't pick running.
What, that sounds so cliche though.
I know.
No,
What does that
Come on,
mean?
I was like, where's my...
Dude, it's the truth. If you had said to me...
Who is this
15
running that picked you? How did this happen? Go on,
If
tell
you
us.
told
What do
me
they look like?
15, 20 years ago
Yeah.
that this is what I would be doing, I would have said, nonsense. Don't be ridiculous. I'll be doing A, B, C, and D. Well,
What's A, B, C, and D?
No, so that's what I mean. I don't know. I have no idea what I
So
would
take
have
away
been
running
doing.
and you have no idea what else you would have
There was
done.
no sports, nothing in your life.
I wouldn't have done sports. I would have worked in like giving, as in, because as I track back through all of the things that I've done, everything is about community. Everything is
Community.
about togetherness. Everything is about building something.
Where does that come from?
I don't know. Like, I don't want to say it comes from my parents. I don't like it. I think it
Could
just
it?
comes from, it could do, but I think it comes from the
Was
village
there a
mentality that we've always had.
Like what? What do you mean?
And when I say the village mentality, it's that you've got your brethren, you've got your family, you've got your friends, and those are the people that you go to when you want to do stuff. Those are the people that, it's not necessarily about asking for help, but it's like,
community.
oh, yeah. And I realized that that community was no longer there. Like, I remember what I really, really missed after leaving school, because I didn't do uni for whatever reason. What I really, really missed was that bond that you have, whether it's
At
with
school.
the mandem, with your friends, like there's structure. And I no longer found that. As in, you go to work, yeah, you got friends, but there's
not
not,
real.
Not the
yeah.
same. Yeah. So
It's
did
not
you
the
actively
same.
then seek that out?
Yes. And as I track back, that's essentially what I was doing, because how I then got into working in sports was the fact that I went into a youth club and started playing table tennis. And one of the, not even young people, one of the adults that I started playing table tennis with, he was like one of the locals, and that's how we hit it off. Like, we broke down everything. Like, we were from different areas. I was from South, he was from Northwest. We just played table tennis.
The leveler.
Yeah, the leveler. And because he was the big don in that youth centre, no one beat him. And I just went in there, and from my sixth form days and like going table tennis with Dean
You
and
misspent
Nick,
youth,
misspent youth, we just started playing. He was like, who's this brother?
Yeah.
And that broke everything down. And from then, that's how I got into sports.
And when did you realize, okay, this actually is not just about me finding a niche, a hobby, people, like-minded people, I can actually make money from this?
That happened when I worked out that I didn't want to do what I was doing anymore.
What was that at that time?
So before, I worked for sports development at Westminster Council. So I started off as a positive futures coordinator. So that was a role that was half funded by the Home Office and half funded by local authority.
Is that like youth offending or what?
Yes, so youth offending was part of it. I basically worked in the team that would talk to youth offending and find somewhere for the youths that were offending.
To focus them.
Yeah, to focus them. So we would run holiday camps, half-term camps for 8 to 13, 13 to 17, 18 and up to 25. We would take them camping, we would take them rollerblading, whatever it was to stop them from doing nonsense. And then what we started doing was we found that kids would like steal mopeds and burn them up and all that sort of stuff. So because of my misspent youth, I literally went to these youths and I was like, what are you doing? They're like, what do you mean? I was like, well, what are you doing? You lot are bunning up this, bunning up that, for what reason? I was like, police are gonna come here for no reason whatsoever. I said, why don't you do something else? Well, what do you want us to do? So I said, you tell me. So I went back to my boss and I said to him, we found these kids, da-da-da-da. She said, cool. Go back and talk to them, or I'll talk to them. What we'll do is we'll pay for them to go on a course, which, like a mechanics course, and then we'll pay for them to do their licenses. All they have to do is sign a contract that is gonna say they're not gonna teeth, they're not gonna mash anything up.
Yeah, but then you had enough of working with offenders and you wanted to do something else.
I didn't have enough of working with them. I had enough of the system preventing me from doing what it was that I wanted to do with young people with regards to work.
Give me an example of one situation that prevented
An example is I found a group of young people and I want to do this project and I would like to do this project then. Have we got the money? Yeah, we've got the money, but that project's a little bit too exciting. Let's do 10 projects, which do this,
so a lot of red tape.
Yeah, a lot of red tape.
So you was frustrated.
Yeah, I was frustrated. And then I met all of these people who just wafted around, not really doing much.
Yeah.
That's what I thought at the time. And then they were like photographers, videographers, and I was like, what do you lot do?
Yeah.
Because this was the first time I'd really met people from the creative industry. Yeah. And it's like, these people are just walking around with cloaks, with money. How?
Would you say you're creative?
Yes.
Doing what?
What do I do?
What's creative? I understand that you run and but how, if let's say you didn't work with offenders, what is your creative niche?
My creative niche is I create content, I write. Anything that I do, I'm like, how can we change this?
Yeah.
Or not even change it, not even make it better.
You're looking to flip things, or you're looking to start from fresh.
Yeah, like I despise this word, but when people say to me, what would you describe yourself as? I hate the word and it's been overused, but I'm a disruptor. I want to come mash stuff up and make it different or make it better or just twist it a little bit. Because for me nowadays, unless you're in the, I guess, the digital world, there's no such thing as a new thing.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as a new thing. All you're doing is regurgitating and replicating what has already been done. What you have to do is put your spin on it so people can see it for what it is.
I suppose so I hear that. Where are your parents from?
Dad's from Jamaica, mum Guyana.
Okay, so traditional Caribbean parents. How did you have that conversation about I want to be a creative?
So I didn't have that conversation. And that's the difference between, I guess, myself, my peers, and many of the people that I engage with nowadays.
There's lots of young people who have this dream about wanting to do this stuff. They'll see your
What do
page.
they think you were going to do?
Yeah.
So once again, the messaging from my mum and my gran has always been, as long as you don't get nicked,
That's the bar, isn't it?
The bar was so low.
No, it's not about low. The bar was, go and do what makes you happy.
Okay.
Just don't do foolishness and bring nonsense to
my
this
door.
To my door.
That's it.
Yeah.
So
I think every Caribbean person has heard that.
So when I went out there, like trying to be successful in whatever way, I never had that pressure on my head of my mum being at home or my dad being at home or my gran being at home. You have to do this. You have to be a doctor, have to be a scientist. You have to be all of those things.
So that probably allowed you, because when I went onto your Instagram, I was just like, this is an unusual character. So maybe that that pressure that wasn't there from your parents allowed you to the freedom to be who you wanted to, with different colors, or different creativity about your content. So going back to, you no longer wanted to do work at Westminster Council. You've met like-minded creatives. You started running. When did the money come in, and then the Nike gig?
So I volunteered for years. As in, so what I did was I stayed at Westminster.
Work for free?
Yeah, I worked for free for years. Worked for free for years.
How'd you pay your bills?
As I said, I had 5 jobs. I worked from 9 to 5 at Westminster.
I'm about to say, because fresh air ain't paying no bills. I was waiting for the conclusion.
I had my 9 to 5 at Westminster, and all of the stuff that I was doing with regards to my youth work, that was all either in the evening time, or I'd say to my boss, can I work at night time? And I would go and do this.
Okay.
So this story is a huge lesson. Sorry, I was just going to say there's a huge lesson in saying yes to things consistently throughout.
Like can you come and do this call? Yes. Can you be here at this time? Yes. Can you do this? Yes, yes, yes.
That's quite
and I always say,
a lot of young people do that.
No,
but wasn't you burning yourself out?
But Lynn,
of course.
Wait, 1 second, because Lynn is very much around. I'll turn up if there's a bag involved.
No, I'm not on that.
No,
I'm sorry. I'm not on that.
No.
If I paraphrase wrong, tell me
I'm not obsessed with money.
Did you hear me say
You just
obsessed?
said if there was a bag involved. What's a bag?
Yeah, but I didn't say
Money.
obsessed. Yeah, but Corey's saying a clear example of that, prompted by Joe, that sometimes you have to do something for nothing to get to where you enter.
Yeah.
And what age group was this?
I was in my 20s.
20s. And
Okay.
you're Lynn sitting there saying,
I'm in my 30s.
And can I just say, I'm now in my 40s, and I still do stuff for free.
Yeah.
And
I think it's
and I
hear you.
hold on, and let me finish. And I still do stuff for free. But the reason why I do stuff for free is because you never know who you're gonna meet. You never know what you're going to do.
Opportunity comes
You
out of
never
it.
know what opportunity is going to come for it. Obviously, you can't make people take the mickey out of you. And as you said, you can't burn yourself out. But there are places and spaces and opportunities that you cannot pay for.
is that your advice to some of the young kids?
Yes, constantly.
Yeah.
Constantly.
But a lot of them are not going to hear
If
that.
you're passionate
Yeah.
and you don't have any experience and it's something that you want to do, I would always say, even to myself, don't be cocky to start saying how much. I agree with that. Also, I feel that a lot of good in this world comes from people doing it out the benevolence of their own heart.
Yeah.
So I would do that too.
No,
but
I
what
hear
I'm
that.
saying is, you can get to a point where people start
the
to
mick.
not see
Yes.
the value.
Yeah.
Okay.
And all of a sudden, you've got your diary full, and then you're struggling to pay your bills, but you've just
No one
given
cares.
yourself to
So
everybody.
not at
Yeah,
the cost,
see that-
not at the
but-
cost of your own.
Yeah, for me, there's a line. As in, you have to do as much as you are able to do from a physical and mental capacity.
Of course, yeah.
And I had found where I could give my time away for free. And what I found was that the more I gave my time away for free, the more when there were paid opportunities, it was like,
It
cool.
came.
You,
They
Come on,
remembered.
you.
They remembered.
yeah, you'd be like, you came here the other day, didn't you? And
Yeah.
you just chilled. All right, I got some work for you.
Yeah.
I got some this for you. I got
Yeah,
some,
but
and
so-
that's
so-
how, and that's
Go
how
on.
the Nike gig came around. Like
Oh,
I'll
literally,
finish that, yeah, please.
So I did loads and loads of things for free, and I was out in the cold every single Thursday, every single Monday, coaching either myself or coaching peers. I would do long runs on a Saturday. So this is completely for free.
You must love running.
Yeah, I did because I knew what it
People
did
who
for
run
me.
do though, innit? Because
Like
What?
Monday night it
Free
would
in the cold.
Monday night it would be road running. Thursday it would be track running. Saturday I would have a long run group. Sunday I'd be doing fitness stuff, and then I'd be doing my normal job
But it's that
and
community.
everything.
Is any
Yeah.
six pack shining through after these
No,
run-ins?
no,
Lynn,
no,
Lynn, it's
because that's
about
not
more
what I
than
was
that, though,
doing it
him.
for.
Still on that.
Because that's not what I was doing it for.
I hear that. No, I was just saying it's a byproduct.
As a byproduct.
Little six pack shining through.
In order to acquire a six-pack via a byproduct, sorry, in order to acquire a six-pack,
Yeah.
you have to eat less.
It's true, isn't it?
So my thing was, I'm running, so I can eat more now.
Okay, so you're...
That was my thing. So how the Nike gig came about was, once again, for free. As in, they came to me and they were like, "Oh, we like what you and your little collective or crew or group of people are doing. We've got some people flying in from America. They're doing a photo shoot on some trainers. Can we come down to track?" No talk of peas, and I had no interest in peas.
How did they get your contact? How did they know about you? No?
So I was already in the Nike ecosystem, and the reason why I was in the Nike, because Run Dem Crew
Yeah.
was Charlie and Run Dem Crew was contracted to Nike.
Okay.
So because I was running an affiliate of his, I was on their radar as well.
I see.
And because part of the deal was with Charlie that as long as I'm running RDC West on a Monday, I have to go to Random Crew East, i.e. the original one on Tuesday, people were seeing me there as well.
And was your socials
No, my social media was terrible.
Oh.
Terrible.
So how did they, out of all of these creatives, you said there was loads of people who run Dem Crew.
Yes.
Why did they choose you?
Why?
Yeah.
to
come and do this.
There's enough people in there.
There's loads of them, creatives, probably colourful. Why did they want you to come?
Because I was one of the only people who had his own run. As in, so I had my own Monday night. Yes, it was an affiliate of Random Crew, but that was my own thing. And I was there every single week without fail. Yeah, so Nike came to Trap Mafia at Paddington Recreation Ground and just shot me and my friends' feet for free. They gave us some kicks and it was just a nice relationship builder.
Just to go back to that, you say you built a relationship with people internally there. When you joined Run Dem Crew as a collective, what was the impact of those guys with regards to your own personal brand?
Dude, that changed my life completely. Like meeting people like that changed my life completely because it made me realize that there was a different way to thinking. And what it did was it unlocked not how I already thought, but how comfortable I was around some of these people that I'd never met. I was like, this is something
out of your comfort zone.
Good. Yeah, this is something.
Did it change how you positioned yourself?
Yes,
about being comfortable in your own skin and who you are, but actually,
most definitely, because I basically sat down with a friend that I had met. His name is Mark Fleming, Chop, still one of my biggest mentors, and I just said to him, I'm thinking about leaving my job. I'm thinking about leaving work. What do you reckon? I want to set something up, but I don't know what to do. And he just looked me dead in the eye and he was like, I wouldn't follow you. And I said to him, would you? I said, what? I said, what do you mean you wouldn't follow me? I was like, well, why? And he was like, because the things that come out of your mouth are one thing, but how you present yourself is completely different. So I said to him, I could have taken that in a number of ways, but I was like, okay, I'm listening. Yeah. And I said, how do you mean? And he was like, well, I can create a website for you. I can create this for you. I can create that for you. But all of these things have to be married up.
So they need to translate one to the other.
It's like, if I create this beautiful image of you and I send you on a photo shoot and we style you and you do all of these things and then you turn up in your Westminster uniform with your glasses and your big boots on, what we've created for you and what's coming out of your mouth,
it doesn't marry up.
It doesn't marry up. And I was like, okay. I was like, so what do I need to do? He was like, it's entirely up to you, but you need to work out which version of yourself you are presenting to people.
So you were struggling. You were struggling at the time of working at Westminster Council.
Yeah, I didn't.
Who to be?
Yeah, because I didn't have a home.
Yeah.
That's the best way to describe it. I didn't have a home. I had lots of friends, but there was nowhere where I just slotted in.
Yeah.
How did you get to a place where you said, right, this is who I am. This is
gradually,
what I'm
and I'm still getting there.
Yeah.
Every single day you wake up and you try something new, with regards to what you wear or what you do with your hair, what you do with your beard. Just the confidence to try something.
I was about to say, bro, because I'm like you. I stopped at the hair bit. What Lynn was cussing us before. I'm straight now, but I ain't got no hair.
It comes to a point where you get more and more comfortable with what you look at in the mirror and what you listen when you close your eyes.
And your opinion becomes more important than anyone else.
Yeah.
But it's a constant journey, though.
It's a constant journey.
So the guy that you became friends with, what's his name? The race director at Nike.
Oh, Bruno.
Mm-hmm. So you created that relationship with him on the day of Nike shooting.
So I'd met him before that in another capacity, as in still at running, but I'd met him previously. And so when he reached out to me, it was a friend, but it was a newish friend. We hadn't known each other for ages. And he was like, I'm coming down to shoot. I'd love to shoot you and your friends. And then that got me on, I guess, Nike's digital radar. And then what really, really, really turned the tide for me with regards to Nike was when we started Track Mafia, which is my running group on a Thursday night with some friends, Jules and Jeggy, and an ex-athlete, Rory Fraser, came to our session. He's an ex,
as a participant. He came along,
as a participant.
And Bruno facilitated that.
No.
No, he just came along.
Yeah,
Of
he
his own
just came
accord.
along. He just came along because I was in the Nike ecosystem. It's like, I'm coming to London. What relationships have we got from a Nike perspective in London?
Did you ever think to yourself, because it's a massive leap and it's, you know, it's a really successful story in terms of becoming from where you were to, did you ever feel like a token?
Nah.
Never.
Nah.
Was anybody else
Never.
in your journey? Has anybody else had that experience of having to do stuff for free in order to get in the door?
Everybody.
Everyone does it.
Everybody.
It's the main.
Yeah.
And people that do things for free and say they're getting paid sometimes are lying.
Yeah, it's true.
Like
It's true.
Their own personal
Particularly
PR.
in that from what we've heard, we're speaking to other people as well in that creative space.
Yeah.
It's very much, you know, passion first.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah. Passion then peace.
Is
The
that
money
right?
may
Is
or
that
may
right
not
though?
follow.
Is that right though? Because essentially these are big global players
who have the money.
who have the capacity to do so.
But what are they paying you for?
They're paying for your passion, your value. No, they're paying you for your value.
And where does that value come from?
From you, from your effort, your endeavors.
Uh-huh.
So name me another occupation or industry sector. No, let me finish.
Go on.
Name me another occupation or industry sector that would allow someone to contribute positively to their brand but not pay them for it.
But all of those other things that you're speaking about, they are tangible. As in, you can say, right, I want you to do 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5.
Yep.
And just like a GNVQ, you tick them off. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5.
Yep.
That's it. In much of the creative world that many people work in, before you've done something, you haven't done anything.
So are you creating your own role?
Yeah,
almost.
that's what I did.
Yeah, because I've never heard of a head coach at Nike.
Of course, yeah.
So there was no other position.
But coaches are synonymous with lots of
Exactly,
associated brands.
and also my title is head coach of Nike Run Club.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay, so
you I'm the Run Club bit.
So I didn't create the Run Club bit. The Run Club existed already. There was just no job for a coach for it.
So you're the first person to be.
I'm not the first. No, I'm not the first person to be a Nike run coach, but I am the first person in. Yeah, I was the first Nike run coach in London.
Well, then you are then.
Yeah. I've never thought
so
about it.
he's so humble. He's so humble.
Going back to what you were saying then, that in another industry, those positions
they already exist. Yeah.
So you have to
you
have to apply for it or prove yourself. To be a creative, you created that without knowing because of your passion, and then they loved your passion and allowed you to create the position.
Listen.
So unless you're applying for a job and ticking a box, I'm not saying you shouldn't be paid. But what am I paying you for?
See, no. Listen. It's your. I respect and know it. So I listen. I love the brand. I'm not gonna. So I get it.
You see what he did today?
Yeah. I saw when he was putting it on.
Listen,
I was like, "Is this for me?" He's got an Air Force as well.
100% for you, bro. 100% because this is anyway. The point for me is that I don't want to. That's not what point I would pick up. I feel you have turned yourself into a brand in its own way, and you are lending value to another brand.
Yes.
So you would be defined as an Ekin as they have their conversation because you are.
So the Ekins are the people that will come and tell me about.
That's right.
So Ekins are the Nike backwards, so they know everything about the brand. So if a new product is coming out that they would like me to champion, I will have a discussion with an Ekin about
the appropriate.
Yeah.
But you're not an Ekin.
No.
I've never heard of this term Ekin before.
Listen, I can educate you every time.
Calm down now.
I'll tell you everything.
So it's, as well as working with them, it's almost like an ambassadorial role.
Yes, yeah. So I do a bunch of things for Nike. So I'm the head coach for the UK and for Europe. I do the Nike Run Club. So I'm on the app.
Would you say you're influencer as well?
I hate that term.
Why do you
I hate
hate
that term
it?
because it means nothing.
Wait.
This is Lynn's territory.
It means
you better be ready, bro.
See, this is not my turn because I hate it as well.
It means
why?
Nothing.
But I'm interested to see why. You evidently are an influencer.
No, I'm not. I'm of influence.
Are you? Do you?
But by the very nature, you are an influencer.
Do you say that you're not an influencer because you hate
the title?
Yes,
yes.
Okay.
And the reason why I say that is nowadays, being an influencer doesn't mean anything.
It does.
Sorry, let me finish. It's like, so what do you do?
Yeah.
Post pictures.
Which you can define. You can define.
He's a real one though.
No, but what I mean is by definition, it's like, what are you? I'm an influencer.
Yes.
What do? I influence.
Yes.
Cool. What?
But you can finish. No, you can
but I see
finish
why
that
Tim is-
conversation.
I see-
You can finish that conversation.
The reason
No,
why
no,
Tim
stop.
is struggling
Yeah,
here
yeah.
is because you're both right. The reason why
Yeah.
you're both right is, Tim, you see Beefy as an influencer because
100%.
he is a
He's an
genuine
influencer.
influencer. But what we see as to be an influencer,
The negative
IG
connotation.
Yeah.
world is literally.
Yeah, but
when
why are
you
you running
first
away
think
from
of
a
it,
term
it's a
just
girl
because some
that
others
puts
may have
on
the
fashion
negative?
clothes.
Because of what is associated with it.
But then that's
Whenever
your-
if you were to introduce yourself as an influencer, you still have to have exactly the same conversation as if I didn't introduce myself as an influencer.
Is there not a clear difference between what is a social media influencer and a genuine influencer?
But no one used the term influencer before.
Exactly.
And now it's attached to girls with makeup and fashion.
But no, see,
I'm not demeaning them, by the
I think
way.
you are ever so
I'm
slightly
not.
because
So-
your tone of
No.
voice was.
Okay, can I tell you why?
Go on.
Because, again, if you're going to have loads of women wearing pretty much the same thing, what are they influencing?
So let's be clear. Branding and marketing are some of the biggest things that impact all of our decisions. Yes, you, by the very nature of your definition of people following you or following your ways and attributes, the community of being, you have influenced somebody to do something they weren't going to do before.
Possibly.
But
yes.
it's what it means now.
Possibly
I get
yes
what
or
you're
no.
saying.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you, Your
Avoidance.
Honour.
Yes, I was
Thank
like,
you, Your-
possibly,
thank
yes,
you, Your
I
Honour.
may be.
So
Yeah,
essentially,
yeah.
I would much rather people, because I think we're trying to create a platform here where it's about the positive influence others will have. So therefore, if you can take the term and own it and redefine where it's not just the negative things that are connotated or have the connotations with the word, own the thing.
He's
But
a
the
real
moment you run away
influencer.
from it,
This is
but
a real
my
influencer.
point is that by using the term influencer,
You
it's
get
not
lumped in.
descriptive.
Yeah, it's not.
It doesn't say what you do.
well,
Yeah.
my dictionary
Like,
says
like
what
it-
it does.
It doesn't help
Sway
anybody.
someone, sway
Like
someone.
it doesn't help
So you're a
anyone.
swayer now.
As in, so if you were to meet someone for coffee or for lunch or for dinner, it was like, like I'm meeting this guy or I'm meeting this girl or
Yeah.
I'm like, so what does this person do? They're an influencer.
Okay.
How would you?
I know
so
it's cheapened, isn't it?
What's the
It's
label
like
though?
the word.
How would you say? You've got
I could-
5 seconds to describe who you are, what you do.
I'm a consultant and creative.
Go on.
I'm
see
a
it?
consultant,
That's a
coach,
big
and
thing.
creative. That's
Bang.
it.
Alliteration, I like that.
That's what I do.
CC.
Consultant, coach, creative,
And cash.
and then bees.
But
And then
you know-
depending on where they land, they say, you're a coach, so what do you do? I do this. So you're a consultant. What do you do? I do this.
Okay.
So you're a creative. I do this.
Okay.
So being a creative
Uh-huh.
and being really unusual, colourful, charismatic, is Nike a way to pay the bills? Or being a creative, wouldn't you then, which I'm a bit surprised, take yourself away from Nike and say, I can do
too.
something far better, greater, more interesting than what Nike's got me doing?
But I am.
Aside from that,
Yeah.
Within it.
So what a lot
are
of
you a
people-
competitor now?
No, I'm not. Why would I be a competitor?
Because
I think he's an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
I think he's an entrepreneur.
What a lot of people, how can I word this? Nike use me
Yeah.
as a vehicle
Yeah.
and as a tool
And you
for messaging.
and you use them.
And I use Nike as a vehicle, as a tool. As in, so it's a marriage
it.
made in
I like
heaven
it.
until it's not.
Yeah, I
Yes.
like it.
I don't have a relationship with the brand.
Yeah.
I have a relationship with the brand as an individual, as
Yeah.
in I've grown up. I love
That's
Nike, I
better
wear
terms.
Nike.
Yeah.
Yes.
I said, sorry, but in-house, I have a relationship with the individuals in the positions that I'm working with. So my relationship is with those individuals that work in that office.
And you've
or work
created
in,
this yourself.
and I have created
I like
this, or
that.
we have
I like
created
that.
this collectively.
And the two work together.
Exactly.
Harmoniously.
So if
Yes.
it were to ever get to a place where like it's not working for me or it's not working for them, then things would change. But I'm fully aware and I fully understand that one of the many reasons I'm in the position that I'm in is because of Nike.
What does somebody who's watching this, who thinks, do you know what, I've realised this is actually the time I do need to make the change, I want to do something different. Where should they start? I know that there's the belief thing, they've got the trigger, they know there's something that needs to be done. Apart from downloading and listening to you, what should they do?
Get to the bottom of the road. And when I say get to the bottom of the road is regardless of what idea, what concept, what thoughts that you have in your head, just start. And don't make the goal huge or big. Like, for instance, when I started running, the first thing I wanted to do was get out of my house and get to the bottom of the road. I didn't want to run
That's a really
mile
good point.
or run to the park, or
Yeah.
it's like, get to the bottom of the road. Once you've got there, it's like, I've hit that target. That was my bronze. Now,
Then
what's my
add.
silver? And then add. And go home before you want to go home. Because I always say, in the beginning, all you want is positive memories. That's all you want.
Yeah.
You're like, this was awesome. But at the same time, you also want a feeling of like, I've achieved something.
Yeah.
So like last week, I couldn't do this, but this week I can. Even like mash me up, I can still do it. I'm happy.
That's why I like recording
It's about
and stuff.
community as well. Like I don't like running, but you've made your run club sound interesting. There's creatives there, you know, it's fun and all the rest of it, bit of fashion thrown in. So would you suggest anyone trying to get into health find a community? Because when I go to the gym, I see all the guys, I'm like, oh, you're right, and all the girls, and it's like it becomes a social part of my
I
life.
don't like the social part of it.
I meet loads of
I'm
people like
very
that.
anti like that. Seriously, because as a kid at school, I think it's a bit of a scarring. I wasn't that great at football. Joe played football all day long. I wasn't that great at football. So you were one of the last ones to be picked. I got picked because I was fast and I'd mash you up if you tried to run past me. So that's all right. So I wasn't going to give up. I was very determined. But I gravitated to more individual sports. So this community thing would
Not
never
always,
work for me.
depending on the person. So
But you like the community part of it.
yeah.
Why?
See,
It's the
I think
competitiveness of it.
I think you should find a community or start your own one.
So where
Yeah, but what
for
if you're
you,
individual,
for
you don't
you,
like communities? I don't.
Then don't
You run
join
alone
one.
with some music.
Then run by yourself.
Music.
I ran for 18 months to 2 years alone. Like with no, I sound sad, but no friends,
Yeah.
no family.
Didn't
I
pass
had
my
friends
tissue.
and family.
Didn't pass my tissue.
I had friends and family,
Did your
but I
missus
didn't
run
run with
with
them.
you?
No.
she's not on running.
No, she does now. As in, so back then when I
So
first
you
started,
influenced her.
that was
Aight.
no.
See where you went with that.
No, so my missus, and my other friend Jeggy, we started Track Mafia.
Okay.
As in, so when I first started running, which was in 2006, I wasn't with who I am now.
Yeah.
As that was a long time ago.
Yeah.
And then I broke up with Joe after a couple of marathons.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I had started Run Dem Crew West with Ellie, and it was actually Jules that joined Run Dem Crew West at the time. And it was me, her, and Jeggy that started Track Mafia. This was before we were even together. So she had a lot to do with my inspiration as well. And when I say that, for the first year at Track Mafia, all I did was chase her.
I was going to say,
I'm about
did
to
she
say.
chase you or
No,
did you
all I
chase
did
her?
was chase her. So at the front, it was Jeggy.
Sorry, are we talking chirps or we
Miss-
talking
No,
running?
chase. No, chase. Like
Okay.
on a track.
You're talking running.
400
okay.
meters.
You see,
I was
both
thinking
of you.
you were-
Listen, I was like,
you were
you're trying to
chasing
take
There's no
this
inappropriate
Yeah.
chat here,
That
man. No. Like, I'm talking like running.
Running sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, so it was Jeggy at the front, Jules in the middle, and me just behind for a year. We just
Yeah.
ran together. That's
Yeah.
all we
Okay.
did. Just ran. And like that bond grew and we spent more and more time together.
You
So
caught her one day. That's what it was.
Yeah.
yeah.
I caught her just on, where was it? It was like 300 meters. I was like heaving down the back of her neck. I was like, and then just as we come around
This
the
is like,
bend,
that's
I
not
was
a
like,
euphemism,
I was
is it?
like, I was like,
I'm lost. I'm lost here.
You can't make it
as in,
up.
no, so we're on a
I'm back in the metaphorical sense. What's happening?
We're on a 400 meter track. We're on a 400 meter
Listen,
track.
stop making it sexual. Lynn gets all excited.
We're on a 400 meter
I'm even
track.
breathing in her neck.
And we're doing reps.
Like,
We're doing 400 meter reps on a track.
Ah,
Okay,
that's
okay.
too funny.
Bring it back.
Yeah, we're bringing it back.
So
So I'd come round the bend and I'd just kick past.
Okay.
And I remember the first time I passed her.
Go on.
First time I passed her, I was like, raw, I caught you.
yeah.
And then that was
And-
it.
Yeah.
So where next? Before, because
Yeah.
we could literally sit here and talk
Yeah.
to you. Where's next? And the Metro did it right up on you as well.
Yeah,
didn't
and
they?
the Metro did
Was
something.
that about your podcast about you running?
So that was about sort of bits of everything, because there were, so on the what's it called? On Radio 3, the presenter, she didn't know how to introduce me, and she kind of
Yeah.
said jokingly, she was like, what are those people called that do everything? And it was like, these people that have portfolio careers. And I was like, oh yeah. I was like, I do actually have a portfolio career.
I've never heard of that term.
Seriously.
It's
Never
better
heard
than
of it.
influencer.
Yeah.
I prefer that.
So a portfolio career is literally, you are a creative that is involved in creating stuff.
Yeah.
And for me, that's what I'm into, stuff.
Yeah.
Like we created a newspaper, we created a comic book. Now we've got the podcast. I do this thing called Vibersize where I jump around with kettles and spoons and stuff like that. And like my thing is you should be confident enough to just play.
Yeah.
To just go out and play, to just phone people like, bruv, or
Try,
sis,
just try anything.
what you doing? I'm into plants. And for me, a creative is someone that sees that there are plants, but does more with them. It's like, oh, okay, cool, you got plants. Right, let me think. Let's get some mood lighting on them. Why don't we get an artist round to paint the pot? Why don't we play some music, see if the plants grow?
That's
and then all of a sudden, and then all of a sudden you've got an evening just about plants. And for me, it's having the confidence to just be like, I'm gonna do something. It could be terrible. People might invest their time in it, but I'm gonna try.
It's that playfulness that
Yeah,
shines
you
through,
have to play and you
And
have to fail.
that's amazing,
You have to fail.
Well, thanks for coming. It's been so interesting.
Thank you.
No, I'm gonna go and get some plants, bro.
I want to try
Get some
running. I'm
plants.
going to try
Sing
running.
into
But just
them.
quickly before we go, where can we find you? And if I want to go to one of your runs, how do I do it?
So you can find me on Instagram as Bit.Beefy. You can find me on Twitter as Bit.Beefy. You can find more about running on Track Mafia Instagram,
Yep.
Track Mafia _, and just go onto the Nike app, download it, and just search for me.
Brilliant.
I do a bunch of runs, first run, second run. There's about 10 different runs.
I might try it.
Please do.
I don't know if I can listen
But
to you in my
thanks
ear while I'm
again.
podding.
No, thank you.
Thanks for coming.
And we
to meet
didn't
you,
we didn't
brother.
touch on on loads of stuff, but let's do part 2.